You know that game Whack-A-Mole? The one where you're trying to hit those little critters, but they keep popping up all over the place and you can never predict where they'll be next? That's exactly what the Atlanta housing market feels like right now. I'm Tim Trevathan and I have been helping buyers and sellers navigating the Atlanta real estate market for over 10 years. And I have to tell you, what's happening right now is unlike anything I've seen before. Here's the thing about Atlanta's market right now that most people are getting wrong. A traditional balanced market has somewhere between 4 and 6 months of housing supply. Right now, Metro Atlanta is sitting at roughly 4.6 months of supply. On paper, that puts us right in the middle of that balanced range. So you would think neither buyers nor sellers have a dramatic edge and that things should be moving pretty smoothly. But that is not what is happening. What is actually happening is this whack-a-mole effect, where sellers price high and get nothing, then cut and still wait, where buyers have more choices than they have had in years and are using every single one of them as a reason to hold off. Where the same street can have a home that sold in 3 days, right next to a home that has been sitting for 9 weeks. Traditional market math does not explain this. Because the biggest factor right now is not supply, it is not demand in the classic economic sense, it is a complete shift in buyer mentality from fear of missing out to extreme patience. So let me walk you through the 3 specific reasons this is happening in Atlanta, starting with reason number 3. Reason number 3 is inventory is increasing, but absorption is slowing. Here's what is really happening with Atlanta's inventory picture. Active listings in the Atlanta metro just hit 31,871 homes in March of 2026. That is up 15.5% year over year. And here is a number that will put that in context. Atlanta now ranks 3rd in the entire country for total active inventory, trailing only Houston and Dallas. Those are massive metros. So the idea that Atlanta is somehow short on homes is just not accurate in the way it was 3 or 4 years ago. Now, you might think more homes means a buyer's market, right? More supply, less urgency, prices start to fall. That is the textbook version. But here's the paradox. Absorption is dropping even as new listings keep arriving. Back in late 2025, Metro Atlanta was recording around 1,776 weekly home absorptions across the market, but units per under contract in the core counties, including Forsyth, Fulton, and Gwinnett, were down 24.6% year over year as of early spring 2026. More homes are entering the market than buyers are taking off it. The result, the median time to sell a home in Georgia has climbed to around 53 days. And for context, during the peak of the COVID market, well-priced homes in North Metro Atlanta were going under contract in days, sometimes hours. In fact, I had one in Duluth, a ranch home that was priced at $330,000, go under contract in 5 hours. What this creates is a weird kind of buyer psychology where people know more inventory is coming every single week and there is no urgency. There is no, if I don't move today, this is gone. Buyers can take their time, come back for a second showing, come back for a third, compared against the 4 other listings that came up since last weekend, and just wait. That sense of endless choice is the first thing draining urgency from this market, but now that urgency has disappeared. Sellers have started to panic, which brings us to reason number 2. Price reductions hit historic highs. The data here is staggering. In December 2025, 66% of active listings in the Atlanta market had taken a price reduction. Let that sink in for a second. 2 out of every 3 homes on the market in Atlanta had already cut their asking price. That was up from 60.4% the year before, which was itself already elevated. And it gets more telling than that. According to data from the Atlanta Journal Constitution published in February 2026, nearly 7 in 10 Metro Atlanta homes sold below asking price in 2025. And of those, the average discount was 7.3% below list price. That is the largest average discount since 2015. Now, here's the part that confuses a lot of people, both buyers and sellers. They see these numbers and they think values are collapsing, but that is actually not what is happening. The FHFA All Transactions House Price Index shows Georgia home values up approximately 3.2% year over year. What is falling is not the underlying value. What is falling is seller ambition. Sellers came into this market pricing for a world that no longer exists, pricing like it was still 2022 or early 2023, and then adjusting when the market sent them a very clear signal. The problem problem is that when buyers watch constant price cuts happening around them, it creates a wait and see mentality. If 3 homes on the same street all cut their price in the last 30 days, why would a buyer rush? They start to wonder, is this one going to cut too? Should I just wait another week? So the price reduction cycle ends up feeding itself. Sellers cut, buyers watch and wait. Homes sit longer, sellers cut again. And the psychology behind all of this goes even deeper than the inventory numbers, which is why reason number 1 is the most important factor in this entire market. But first, since we are talking about a market that is complex and is different from anything we have seen in years, I want to make sure you have the right tool in your hands before we get to the most important point. My Atlanta relocation guide. That said, every buyer is different, and when you relocate from out of state, you have a completely different set of requirements to a local buyer. So if you want to understand which neighborhood in Atlanta would be the best fit for your budget and your goals, you can download my Atlanta relocation guide for free in the description below. And now on to the most important reason. Reason number 1. Buyer psychology has completely flipped. This is the big one. Everything I just walked you through, the inventory paradox, the price cuts, the homes sitting for weeks, all of it traces back to one root cause: a complete psychological shift in the way Atlanta buyers are approaching the market. Think back to 2020, 2021, 2022. If you were buying a home in Atlanta during those years, you know what it felt like. You had to move on a home the first weekend, sometimes before the open house even happened. In fact, I would show houses, and I really clearly remember this one time where it looked like an open house because of all the cars that had been parked in front of the house, but they were simply showings that were listed or scheduled back to back to back. I think there were about 15 cars, and then a cop came through to make sure nothing bad was going on. He was trying to figure out what was going on himself. And I remember that whenever I showed a house, I would have to lock the door to the front door behind me once I walked in, because it was so common for another agent to bring their buyer and show the house, even though it wasn't their scheduled time, because there were so many showings squeezed in between each other. People were writing offers sight unseen, waiving inspections, going tens of thousands over asking just to stay competitive. That was fear of missing out in its purest form. And it worked, because if you hesitated, the house was genuinely gone. That mentality now is dead. Today's Atlanta buyer is sitting on the other end of the psychological spectrum completely. In March 2026, 18% of Atlanta home purchase contracts were canceled. That is up from 15.3% the year before. And it is one of the largest increases in contract cancellations of any major metro in the country. Buyers are getting into contract, going through inspection, and then walking away. And even before contracts, the behavior has shifted dramatically. Buyers are waiting for the second weekend, the third weekend. They're comparing the home they liked last week against 4 new listings that hit the market this week, and their quality bar has become extremely high. I had one seller that listed their home in Lilburn, and we had it listed for $1,325,000. I'm thinking in my mind, that price point, there aren't many qualified buyers, so it's going to sell in the market longer anyway, just from that inherently, not just with the market conditions. To my shock, we ended up getting a buyer, and we got it under contract and sold in 10 days. Why? Because one of the things that buyers are looking for with their low toleration level and with more contracts terminating, a lot of times due to repairs, the buyers that are buying houses are looking for newer homes so they don't have to do the repairs. They're trying to limit the heartache and the pain, and they're trying to keep their pocket safe where their wallet doesn't go up in flames because of the high prices of unexpected repairs. So that house ended up selling for slightly below, but again, in 10 days, and it was because it was a 2016 built home that was a 16,000 square foot home, that if you look anywhere in Gwinnett County for a 6,000 square foot home, 90% chance they were all built in the 1990s or early 2000s, where a lot of those homes need major updates and renovations and repairs. But this house did not. Now, going back to buyer behavior and psychology, I have seen buyers walk away from a perfectly solid home because they noticed the drywall tape lines on the ceiling in a certain light, or because one bedroom did not get enough natural morning light. In a 2021 market, those buyers would have been competing against 8 offers and would have been grateful just to get the home. I remember I had a listing in Swanee back in 2021 where there was mold and water damage and water intrusion actively coming into the basement of the home, but the buyer still paid $20,000 over asking price, and we had 10 offers just so they can get into that house and in that school district. In 2026, they can afford to say say no. Lindsay Levin at BHHS Georgia Properties put it well. The emotional urgency that once pushed buyers to waive contingencies or bid aggressively has simply faded. It has been replaced by what one Atlanta market analyst calls an almost phase. Buyers are almost ready. They almost made an offer. They're going to wait just one more week. And here's the kicker. This patience is self-reinforcing. When 5 buyers tour a home on a Saturday afternoon and none of them feel any urgency, there is no energy in the air, no competition, no feeling that someone else is about to take this. So none of them pull the trigger. And because none of them pull the trigger, the next group of buyers who comes through the following weekend gets the message loud and clear. This home has been sitting. Maybe I should wait too. It is a cycle, and it is the single biggest force shaping the North Metro Atlanta market right now. 88.6% of Atlanta area homeowners hold mortgage rates below 6% right now. That means most people who already own homes are not in a hurry to sell and give up their rates. And the buyers on the other side are looking at rates in the mid to high 6s and being extremely deliberate about what they are willing to pay. The fear of missing out has been completely replaced by fear of paying too much. Now, I appreciate this video is all about where not to buy, but if you're considering relocating in the next few months and you want advice from somebody that has been living and working in Atlanta for over 10 years, then drop me a text or give me a call on 770-906-0748. And based on your budget and your preferences, we can work out the best neighborhoods for your budget. And now onto what all of this actually means for you. This strange market creates both challenges and real opportunities. Buyers have more negotiating room than they have had since 2015. Sellers who price right from day one will sell in weeks, while their neighbors sit for months. Understanding the psychology is the entire edge. So drop a comment below and tell me what you are seeing. Are you a buyer who has been in that almost phase, or a seller wondering why your home is sitting? I read every single comment and I want to hear what is happening on your end. I'll be sure to respond and engage with you. Looking forward to hearing from you. And again, give me a call if you are looking to move to the Metro Atlanta area so we can really set up a game plan for you when you relocate over here.